So, Des Kiffin, it was so much fun last week. We thought we'd get you on again.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me back. You caught me by surprise again, though, so I haven't had time to iron my top.
Oh, boy, don't worry. As far as the radio show is concerned, nobody can see that. But
That is a very good point, Ben.
people who might have listened to what we used to do on a Monday, some of Des's clothing is legendary. So what you're wearing right now is quite tame, I would say. Right, football. As you can see from if you're watching this on YouTube now, the logo is behind me. This is the team we're going to be talking about. Is Aston Villa, and there's been things said in the last 24 hours or so that they're sleepwalking their way to the Championship. What would you say to that, Des?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've just been looking at the fixtures, which you'll obviously know yourself. Champions, which we can say now, congratulations to Liverpool. Champions Indeed. Next, coming up for them. Then they've got Man United. And then the last game of the season, which I don't want to go forward too much, but wow, what a game that's going to be. West Ham against Villa.
Well, as far as I can see, the only thing I can kind of hang my hat on is that we are still in with a shout on the final day going to West Ham. Because at the moment, I just can't see where it's gonna come from. And
well, it's funny because staring down the barrel of Villa, Bournemouth, and West Ham, and out of three of them, only Villa I can see he's getting goals in terms of they look like they can score, where West Ham at Bournemouth don't. But you know what football's like; it could change with just like that.
Well, watching Villa on Saturday, I didn't think they were going to score against Wolves, and give Wolves their due credit. I think Wolves are the example for any team that comes up into the Premier League. I think they've been absolutely fantastic in the last two seasons and the season that they got up from the Championship. I think that they've got a proper manager. They know the players that they're buying, and amazing, fantastic. Villa went on that amazing 10-game winning streak in the Championship and got into the playoffs, and that momentum carried them through. You see that happen a lot from teams. Then they threw £125 million at it's proving to be players that just are not good enough for the Premier League, and I think that's what we're seeing. I'll give you the example, and you can come back on this. A player who's actually played well since the return of the Premier League, actually. So I'm not going to single him out for specific criticism here, but I'll give you the example of Douglas Luiz, who has come to Villa, £15 million from Manchester City. Manchester City are not going to let any player of the required quality leave the Etihad Stadium, particularly in the Premier League, and for a price, 15 million is nothing to the owners of Manchester City. It's absolutely nothing. It's pennies for them. So they were happy to let a player like Douglas Luiz go to a club that they knew weren't going to lay a glove on most teams in the Premier League this season. And I think that lack of Premier League nous amongst the setup at Aston Villa. Bear in mind, this is a completely different setup. Board of directors, structure, recruitment policy from the one that went down from the Premier League in 2016. So they were all wide-eyed and with aspirations of coming into the Premier League without really knowing what it was all about. And I think sleepwalking to the Championship is I don't think that's far off.
No. You see Villa more than I see them, but I would kind of argue there that he hasn't been their best player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's been, when you look at some of the signings Villa have bought, Dean Smith has bought, I don't think Luiz has been a bad signing, myself personally.
No, as I say, I wasn't signalling him out for particular criticism. I was just thinking about the setup of bringing players in to realistically compete in the Premier League. When you compare it with, like we said, the job that Wolves have done and the way they built on their squad that came into the Premier League from storming the Championship. Villa didn't storm the Championship, Des. Villa were below halfway in the beginning of March last season. And then it coincided with Jack Grealish coming back to fitness, and they just went on an amazing run throughout the latter half part of the season, and I think they weren't ready as a club to be back in the Premier League. It pains me to say. That's just my view.
And it's wise after the fact, because we can all kind of
course,
Liverpool
of
afterwards. But I think Dean Smith done an amazing job kind of snubbing Butland and signing Heaton. I think that was a great bit of business. But Mopé, which I don't know if it was truly on the cards, but there's a lot of talk with Mopé because of the Brentford connections. He went to Brentford. He went to Brighton for big money. And you look at it now.
But there's another example, Des, of, there's no reason. I mean, yes, Brighton have been in the Premier League a couple of years before Villa came back into it. Shouldn't be losing out to players on players like Neil Maupay to Brighton, especially when Dean Smith, the manager, had worked with him. So, there's so many questions. Dean Smith is under pressure himself. This morning, I saw some speculation on the internet that there's a bit of discontent above Dean Smith. We'll have to see, obviously, how that plays out. I asked you on the show last week, do you think Villa are going to do it? Do you think they're going to survive? And you were, say, cautiously optimistic when we spoke to you last week.
Cautiously optimistic.
Has that view changed?
It's amazing how a few days can change opinion. I would have to say they're going down.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot, not unless they put a sort of run together like they did latter part of the championship when they came up. As you say, you never know, but I cannot. The next two games, Liverpool, Manchester United, to me, that's no point straight away.
Fantastic. Can I just say, this won't mean anything to anybody on the radio, but when you see this on YouTube, my cat has just made an appearance in the studio kitchen, and he's knocking things all over the place, and he's walking he's jumped off the table now, so you might have seen him creep up there. He wants feeding. But
I did wonder why you was laughing. I thought,
there we go.
Was my statement that funny?
No, not at all. Not at all. But it was the cat. Draco Malfoy, his name is. And he decided he wants in on the action. So just quickly before we let you go,
I do believe hopefully Villa will survive. But if they do go down, I would say stick with Dean Smith.
Okay, just quickly before we let you go, the Championship has resumed as well. A goalless draw between Blues and West Brom last weekend. West Brom losing at Brentford on Friday night, which is a bit of a blow to them. And Blues could only muster a 3-3 draw with Hull on Saturday. So it hasn't been a flying start in the Championship since the resumption either.
And it was interesting to see how Leeds was going to react. And it was a massive game against Fulham. Could it be deja vu? But they held their nerve and won. So, I mean, there's still a lot to play for. It's not done and dusted in the Championship by all means, but I really can't see anyone piercing that top two. But as I say, if it's anyone, it's going to be West Brom, who are going to be nervous now going into the final few games.
Des Kiffin, my cat Draco Malfoy as well, for muscling in on it. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure, Ben.